All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We are so glad to welcome you all to our regular board meeting. We're grateful for all the friends and families and students and staff that have joined us for our board meeting. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll start with our land acknowledgement, and our student advisor Nathan Nichols will be reading that for us.
We honor the first peoples of these lands by acknowledging that the area in which we gather is within the traditional territory of the Stillaguamish tribe of Indians. The Stillaguamish people have inhabited these lands and waters since time immemorial, and their ancestors have remained in this territory to this day. The Stillaguamish people have continued to practice the traditional ways of their ancestors of fishing, hunting, and gathering. The Stillaguamish tribe has had these lands and cultural traditions passed on to them by their ancestors, who believe that everything has a spirit and that they are caretakers of these lands and waters.
Thank you, Nathan. And next we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. Deja will lead us in that. If everyone will please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And next we'll have our approval of the study session agenda. Oh, roll call first. Thank you, Debbie. Let's do a roll call.
Director Diamond.
Present.
Director Kelly.
Here.
Director Watts.
Present.
President Levesque.
Here.
Director Knapp.
Here.
Student Advisor Nichols.
Here.
Student Advisor Reed. Here. Superintendent Sweetie.
Here. Thank you. And next we'll have our approval of the studies, the regular meeting agenda, unless there's something somebody would like to change.
No, I make a motion to approve regular meeting agenda.
I'll second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Watts to approve the regular meeting agenda.
Director Diamond.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Watts.
Yes.
President Levesque.
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Thank you. The agenda is approved as presented. And next we get to move on to our favorite part of the evening, our presentation portion, why all of you are here. We're going to be having our Simply Amazing student and staff recognition. And I'm going to turn the time over to Superintendent.
This is an exciting time of the night when we just get to honor our most amazing staff and students. And with that, before we get started, we have people in the hall. And so when they need to come forward, I want to make sure that their family can see and their student or their staff member or their family member being honored. So we're going to make some space, maybe come over. And I think Eric Dion is going to help with that. So thank you, Eric. So I am extremely proud of all Arlington staff and students, even those that are not being honored here tonight. But tonight we have some special people, and they represent many special and wonderful people in our community. We are a community of learning and caring where we value engaging all students in high levels of learning. And in January, so for staff who are being honored tonight, in January, we put boxes out at every school. And from January 14th to March 14th, students could select a staff member that has made a difference in their life and say why. And so we collected those. And then at the end of that time, March 14, on the 15th, around that same time, Cabinet pulled out of those boxes the individuals who are being honored here tonight. But everyone, there were 410, these are the nominations, 410 were put into the boxes. And the students said how wonderful those staff members were and how they made a difference. These will all go back to the staff members. And then those names that were pulled are here tonight. They'll get a certificate, and their pictures, as you know, both the students and staff will be there for a year till next year. So just a neat process. So for those staff members, that's how they were nominated. For students, it's simply amazing. Students that are selected in here tonight, they were nominated by their school staff, and the staff members, their administrator from their school will tell us why. tonight. So I'm very proud. Thank you, family and staff and friends who are here to be part of this celebration. So we're going to get started, and I am going to ask Carrie Saunders, who is our director of our Apple and ECAP program, to come in and get us started. I think she's in the hallway.
Here? Yep.
Yes, right there.
Hi, I'm Carrie Saunders from Apple ECAP Preschool, and I'm here to recognize Maria Pitson. Maria has been a dedicated staff member at Arlington School District for over 18 years. And I'm so grateful she's been working at Apple ECAP Preschool for over 5 of those years. Families in our program describe her as sweet, caring, kind, and amazing. Maria is compassionate, communicative, and most important, an amazing advocate for our families. She shows up every day to work hard with our team and side by side with our families. Maria has a unique gift because of the qualities mentioned before and because she understands what it's like to make a new life outside of the country she grew up in. She has become an amazing cultural ambassador. She is a big part of who we are as a program and how connected families feel to our program. Doing her job is not easy. Not only does she monitor all of our students' health, enroll families, problem solve, make goals with families, and even finds furniture when it's needed for them. She also listens to really hard things every day. She does it with heart and she does it without judgment. And for these reasons and many more, Maria is simply amazing.
Thank you. And also I will say, Maria, and all the recipients tonight, Mr. Sable is going to take a picture after we're done celebrating and honor some people. So don't leave. You can actually wait either outside here or go downstairs, because I think we're taking the picture downstairs.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you again.
Will you join Mrs. B? Good evening. I am so excited to introduce Ted Harris. This is Ted. He's a second grader in Mrs. Anderson's class at Eagle Creek Elementary. He has Miss Willis for first grade. I can't remember your kindergarten teacher. Who was it?
Miss Lorella.
Of course, you've had great teachers, haven't you? Yeah. Is that why you're a great kid? I think it's because we got great parents too. So, you know, at school, we talk a lot about perseverance, and Ted has certainly learned what perseverance means. Last year, his house burnt down while he was at school, and he lost all his belongings and his pets. And you know what? Even though that happened, he has still come to school every single day since then. Miss Willis can attest to this. And he has shown the most positive attitude. He continues to excel in school, works hard, helps others, and is one of the most empathetic students we've ever had the pleasure to work with. So Ted is truly a friend to all and is always, do you agree, Hudson? Is he a friend to all? Yeah, he is. And he is always looking out for those around him. Recently did a New Year's project. This was before we were doing the nominations. And in his class, he described 2024 as a hard year, and Mom and Dad would probably say the same. And he said he wants 2025 to be fun, and he is fun. He is a fun, joyous, awesome kid who brings joy to everybody at Eagle Creek every single day. And we just love you, Ted. You are simply amazing. You see the from the wall? Yes, isn't this so amazing? Did you take a picture of it? Yep. Awesome. Okay, and that's what Mrs. Anderson wrote about you. Okay. All right. Congratulations. So proud of you. I didn't see Mrs. Stockberger in here. So Mrs. Stockberger is a second grade teacher at Eagle Creek Elementary. We obviously have a lot of really awesome teachers on our staff, and Sadie is one of them. She is simply amazing, bright, outgoing, friendly, always cheerful. And her kids love her. So the student, my favorite, I'm gonna read a few of my favorite things that Mrs. Stockberger's students said about her. And I love this part of the write-up, Mrs. HB did it, and she knows that there are a lot of her kids have been taught by legends in the field. There's one like this, right? So Mrs. Stockberger, knowing that they are, she is a bright spot in their life, is an awesome thing. So how did this thoughtful bunch narrow down their long list of potential nominees? Her student Lorelei said she thought about nominating her preschool teacher, but Mrs. Stockberger is the tops. She listens when we are speaking, and so we listen when she speaks because we want to be kind back. When we don't know how to regroup, she helped me learn. I learned lots of things from her, like reading, math, writing, and a bunch of other things. Responsibilities like using kind actions, you know, the big five, Olivia added. I love this too. She gives out tea or cider with the teacher when kids are have earned some dojo points, and that is, they save all of their time because they get to sit and have special time just with their teacher. So she's amazing in many, many ways, and really proud of Sadie, even though she couldn't be here tonight. I'll see her tonight.
Come on in, they can be right with you. And they can fill out here too. Come on in, you can come right up to the front and you can even line up right over there. Great.
Quite the crew today. So to talk about our Simply Amazing student, I brought a couple of my Simply Amazing teachers to talk about her. So they're going to start first. This is Elizabeth.
Okay, so if there's anyone that fits the title of Simply Amazing, it would definitely be Elizabeth. She's a young lady full of kindness, strong character, and integrity. As a student, Elizabeth is focused on her learning. She strives to succeed even when it is hard. Elizabeth is a positive example of never giving up, and she shows determination in her academics. She comes to school every day with a good attitude and a willingness to try. Elizabeth is an incredibly hard worker. She has a strong work ethic and always perseveres through difficult situations.
And she's humble. Elizabeth is also a person who's very thoughtful. Every day in class, she demonstrates, and I mean literally every day in class, she demonstrates concern for others. Not only is Elizabeth a strong self-advocate for herself, but she advocates for others as well. Elizabeth always makes good choices during the school day, and that is consistent. There is not a day that she's not making great choices. Her commitment to school makes her a role model for other students, and I'm continually impressed with her. She's also an incredibly pleasant person. I know I can count on Elizabeth to be calm and an enjoyable presence in my class, and she's such a bright light at our Camp Prairie community. We love this girl.
Nope. All right. Maybe I want to then. All right, so next we have our Camp Prairie Simply Amazing teacher. Of course, we have lots of Simply Amazing teachers, but the one we're talking about today is right here, Miss Roloff. Thousands of reasons why Miss Leanne Roloff is Camp Prairie Simply Amazing staff member. And of course, two of her students were interviewed and came up with some great things about Miss Roloff. They talked about it beginning with being kind and fair. Eloise says, I like it when Miss R doesn't yell at us. She gives us friendly words. She's not a mean teacher. She's kind and doesn't do anything mean or boss you around. Sometimes she doesn't even say anything and the class still knows what to do because she has taught us so well. Coden and Eloise understand very well traits like kind and fair are important. They also know that they are there to learn. And Miss Roloff is an outstanding teacher. They explained how their science reports worked and that they got to choose which animals they wanted to study. They talked about math and reading and they love how she teaches 3D shapes and a bunch of shapes they got to learn about, and it was really fun. Coden says that his mom loves Mrs. R because she doesn't really do anything mean to me or any of my classmates. And she's not too serious. There's always something to start our morning, like a little dance or a song. When we get back in school on Mondays, we get to talk about our weekends and talk about our highs and lows and what we're grateful for. Truly, Miss Roloff is frequently listed among the reasons her students are grateful, and we are grateful to have her.
Thank you. Congratulations. Don't forget a picture.
Downstairs.
Hello. We have two people to recognize today. Bella Hernandez-Paz. And unfortunately, Bella is not able to join us today. And so I'm hoping that she'll be able to see this because she truly is simply amazing. Bella is a shining example of kindness, resilience, and determination, making her a perfect recipient of the Simply Amazing Award. No matter the challenge, Bella faces it with unwavering perseverance and a bright smile that uplifts those around her. Her hardworking nature is evident in everything she does, always giving her best effort and inspiring others with her positive attitude. Whether supporting her peers, tackling new obstacles, or demonstrating an incredible work ethic, Bella embodies what it means to be simply amazing. So we are very thankful for this. And here we have lots of amazing staff members and very happy and excited to be able to recognize Susanna Cree. If you've ever been in Mrs. Cree's classroom at Pioneer Elementary, you know what love feels like. Her gentle manner and beautiful Southern accent aside, Mrs. Cree has a special gift for making all students feel welcome and wanted as they learn. Just ask Katie, Joe, and Kennedy, two enthusiastic fans for Mrs. Cree. Kennedy, a current student in Mrs. Cree's room, loves the active and interesting learning in the classroom. She does fun work for us. She does math and helps us understand. We made Lego cars and raced them last Wednesday, and we got to design our own. That was truly a very fun lesson to watch. Katie Jo is a second grader this year and has lost none of her love for Mrs. Cree since she was a kindergartner in her room. I usually walk the K Hall just to say hi and stop by for a piece of candy and a hug. Lots of kids do, even kids that didn't have her stop by. Katie Jo remembers her kindergarten days fondly, describing her former teacher as a very kind and sweet. On rough days, Mrs. Cree would always welcome her with a hug and maybe a few pieces of candy. If she forgot what reading tub she was in, a simple reminder from Mrs. Cree would get her right on track. I became a reader as a kindergartner, reports Katie Jo. thanks to those gentle reminders. Katie Jo also reports that she believes her friends would also nominate Mrs. Cree if they could have a chance. Or maybe their first grade teachers, because they are kind too. And I would have nominated my teacher, but I like the candy a little more, she said. Mrs. Cree is a forever favorite for Katie Jo and Kennedy, summed up how everyone feels about this excellent teacher, kindergarten teacher. I want the whole world to know that I really love Mrs. Cree. So this loving teacher is loved right back, and there is no higher compliment than that. Congratulations.
We get to read for Jamie today, lucky me. All right. The Simply Amazing student for President's Elementary is Colton Davidson, and this is what we're saying about you, Colton. We are choosing to recognize Colton Davidson because he has consistently shown a great work ethic, more kindness than is necessary, and a strong understanding of right and wrong. He challenges himself, works well with others, and has strong leadership skills. Colton also participates in after-school events, school clubs, extracurricular activities outside of school, you're a busy guy, and is involved in multiple volunteer positions at school. Colton's past teachers also have great things to say about him, which show how all of his positive attributes have just grown right along with him. So congratulations, Colton. I had your dad as a sixth grader when I was a teacher, so you know. And that's right. All in the family. And congratulations, Colton.
There is a certificate there for.
Oh. Colton. I forgot the certificate. Is Stephanie Guthrie here? Okay, well, Stephanie Guthrie is a Simply Amazing award earner from Presidents. Stephanie's been a member of Arlington Public Schools for many years and has been positively impacting students and staff lives for her entire career. Currently a paraeducator in the special education program at Presidents, Stephanie's presence and experience benefit both students and adults. In small group work, Stephanie helps her students move forward academically. Under her tutelage, kids make academic progress, letters, numbers, addition to 10. She is highly skilled in helping students understand, practice, and retain vital content that's required for success in any classroom. And it is important to note that her students love her. They run up to her at recess and in the halls. She cares for each child and makes sure they are seen and heard while they're learning. Stephanie's expertise has been a particular benefit to a newer member of the staff, Talia Myers. It's been 2 years since Talia joined the team at Presidents, and Stephanie has been her key teacher and role model. First of all, Stephanie's smile and positive energy are ever present. She is always fully engaged at school, listening to and learning from her team. Always a strong supporter of student behaviors, Talia has especially appreciated Stephanie's ability to help her understand that behaviors are not personally directed at her and that supporting kids through behaviors is an important part of their development. As a team member, Stephanie never engages in drama. Instead, she creates a safe place where team members can debrief together, discuss learning, and simply enjoy each other's company. She initiates conversations and keeps her teammates grounded. And of course, we all want to know what her beauty secret is. We all want to know how she stays so energetic and gorgeous. Whatever her secret, we all know that love of kids and staff is a key ingredient. And we are so lucky to have her as part of our Arlington team.
Come all the way to the front.
Good evening, everyone. I have two wonderful representatives from Haller Middle School. This is Jackson Bauer, is Officer Nate Bauer's son. He is an absolutely unbelievable young man, and I think, have you been nominated for this before when you were younger? No? Okay, this is the first time. I've been talking about him with Mr. Green since last year. I'm like, this is a simply amazing young man, and I just couldn't wait any longer to nominate you. So I wasn't gonna wait until you were in 8th grade. Jackson is just one of those students. He goes above and beyond in everything he does. Whether it's in the classroom, cross-country course, spelling bee, he's been our spelling bee winner the last 2 years. He always gives his best effort. Jackson's dedication extends to the community as he selflessly uses his lunch every day. The entire 6th grade year, the entire 7th grade year, to do the two things that we preach every day: leave it better than you found it, and do the right thing always. He cleans the cafeteria every single day. Just selflessly, just because he wants to leave it a better place. Which is amazing to me, because in middle school, that's really not the thing to do. He is thoughtful, kind. He's always willing to help others with a genuine smile. He's a constant source of positivity and growth, and his commitment to excellence and his thoughtful nature make him a true asset to our school. We are lucky to have you at Haller. You're wonderful. And our representative for our teacher came on the same time I did. So Mr. Joseph and I both actually came from Marysville. I was there for a year and Mr. Joseph was there for a long time. We're both very fortunate. We talk to each other often about how fortunate we are to be in the school district. I've been in Mr. Joseph's class a lot, and he's just one of those human beings that can turn anything negative that a student does, not that there are very many in middle school, into a positive. He'll see a student chewing gum and make it a game, like, make sure to throw that out. They're never in trouble. Like, he just has a way with his words to make you feel good, even when you're doing something wrong. And that's a rare gift to have for an adult that teaches middle school students. So Mr. Joseph, this is our words and also a student's words. Mr. Joseph's a passionate, caring, and dedicated music educator who truly makes a difference in the lives of the students. His kindness, enthusiasm, and positivity create a welcoming and supportive environment where every student feels valued, inspired, and encouraged to pursue their musical journey. With a special ability to connect with students, he draws them into the world of band, making them feel like they belong and fostering a love for music and learning. He maintains an open door policy where students can flow in and out of band at any time, ensuring they always have access to support. Whether students join the band early in the year or later in their middle school career, Mr. Joseph is always willing to help them start or catch up on their musical journey. To accommodate all students, he thoughtfully created a band 1, 2, and 3. So we have 8th graders in our 6th grade band, which is about 104 kids, which is unbelievable. He ensures that every student, regardless of grade level or experience, can be part of the band community at Haller Middle School. His unwavering belief in every student's potential drives him to work tirelessly to help them grow both musically and personally. His passion for music education is contagious, inspiring students to build confidence, develop their skills, and strive to do their best each day. As a dedicated team player, he consistently goes above and beyond to support his colleagues and contribute to the school community. Reliable, patient, and always willing to help. Mr. Joseph embodies the qualities of an outstanding educator who leaves a lasting impact on students and staff alike. As one young musician expressed, he is so amazing, the best teacher I've ever had. And I think most of our students would say that. So it's great. And he teaches about probably 2/3 to 3/4 of our students weekly. Like, he has almost all of the students in the school. And a lot of times students will take music in 6th grade and join band in 7th grade, just because they've had that experience with him. So you're amazing. You really are.
Good evening. I am so excited to get to recognize post student and staff member this evening. And I want to start with Avery Marchand. I had the pleasure of reading not only your Simply Amazing recognitions, but your Student of the Month recognitions, and so much stood out to me, my dear. I want to read what Miss Jensen wrote for this evening. Post would like to recognize 7th grader Avery Marchand as our Simply Amazing student. Avery was nominated by her ELA teacher, Mrs. Jensen, for consistently being kind and friendly. Avery's always making an effort to connect with her peers and teachers. Her positive attitude and willingness to engage in thoughtful conversations with both classmates and staff make her a joy to be around. She participates in class when others don't want to. She does exceptional work and is a model student for those to be around her. We're honored to recognize her as our Simply Amazing student. And what I want to share with you consistently is teachers talk about every interaction they watch with you, not only with your peers, but with staff, of how positive and kind you are, and genuine, and it makes a difference here at Post. We're so thankful to have you there. So congratulations, Avery. We're so excited to recognize you. So a year ago, I heard Mr. Mack wanted to join us up here at Post, and I was so excited for Ryan McLaughlin to join us, and he has fit right into our fun middle school chaos. And so many students talk about Mr. Mack and how helpful he is, how the pressure isn't there, but the excitement to learn and engage in learning. And we're super excited to recognize him. So Mr. McLaughlin was nominated as our Simply Amazing Post staff member by a 7th grade student, Jillian Smith, along with many others. But Mr. Mack is loved by many students and makes connections in and out of the classroom. It's in between classes, you can almost always see him outside at his door talking with students. He coaches basketball and has positive relationships with so many students. He strives to meet students where they are at and provide them with choices that increase engagement in the classroom through projects and high interest activities. Mr. Mack seamlessly joined our Post team and has been an incredible addition to our social studies department. Jillian shared that Mr. Mack is simply amazing because he's always nice, kind, and understanding. Other students share that he's always helpful and supportive. We're so honored to recognize Mr. Mack as our Simply Amazing staff member at Post, and so lucky you have joined us up there.
Ready? Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit because I can't help it. Okay, so hopefully not my last opportunity to recognize this guy, probably one of my favorite humans of all time, just throwing it out there. You know, so Arlington High School is recognizing Jake Willis as our Simply Amazing student. He is a senior this year. You would like the senior picture? Jake is the likely recipient of many accolades and awards, and here's why. He is the type of young man that we want leading our community. Over the 4 years I've watched Jake as a student and athlete at Arlington High School, he has proved himself time and again as genuinely solid of character, authentically kind, and naturally gregarious. Just watch him at our life skills prom today. And those kids could not adore me more. Jake cares about people. From watching him take care of his teammates to dancing with, one of our life skills students at senior dinner dance. It's all over the place. Look at that. Jake cares about and really sees others. He is connected to the Arlington High School community and helps to build it. I cannot imagine that his friends could wish for better. Jake Willis encompasses all the aspects of character, drive, community, and citizenship that I want for every graduate of Arlington High School. Our future is in good hands with this guy, and I'm probably gonna cry when you graduate. You go.
Thank you.
Yes, there you go. Okay, perfect. I think guys, every time I call his mom, she's like, is he in trouble? I'm like, no, I just need another favor from Jake. That's it. All right. Hello, my friend. Hello. All right, Tina Nielsen, star extraordinaire here, is one of our CTE teachers at Arlington High School. She teaches our family health and child development courses. She is a continual force for positivity. Always. I don't think I've ever seen you not smiling. And she believes in the potential of all students. Tina Nielsen was nominated for Simply Amazing by one of our seniors, Carissa McCamey. Carissa says, Miss Nielsen is simply amazing, has impacted my life by being a familiar face and someone I can always go to for advice. By understanding things her students go through and connecting with them on a personal level, she makes her classes more enjoyable. She really is simply amazing.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Marsh, and I get to be the principal of the Stillaguamish Valley Learning Center. And I'm particularly grateful to have Isaiah Felicia here with me. He is our simply amazing student. Isaiah exemplifies a simply amazing student with his academic achievement, leadership, and kindness. He's dedicated to academic excellence and maintains high performance in all subject areas, while demonstrating kindness and encouragement to all students around him. His curiosity and passion for learning make him a role model among his classmates. Beyond academics, Isaiah is a natural leader who leads with kindness, integrity, and inclusivity. This year, he's rallied together students from across grade levels to participate in our school's talent show, and they'll be performing a condensed Charlotte's Web play. Isaiah uplifts those around him and creates a supportive and welcoming environment at SVLC. Isaiah's unwavering dedication to both personal growth and the well-being of others makes him truly deserving of this recognition. He is truly a kid that's hard to find words to describe how awesome he is and how grateful we are to have him in our community. Congratulations. Our simply amazing staff member is Tiffany Barker, our registrar. As the registrar at SVLC, Tiffany Barker has many responsibilities, all of which she takes seriously. But perhaps the largest role she fills is greeting parents and students. She's the first person most people see when they walk into the main office at SVLC, and it's a positive way to walk through the door. Sixth grader Charlotte said, "She's in a happy mood almost always, so she sets the vibe. So everyone in there is having fun. Sometimes she has to be serious, and we have to leave because we're being too loud or something. But always she is funny and kind." Fourth grader Aria, who's here, agrees. She takes time when we ask questions, and she usually talks with us about school and how it's going. She shows us respect. Katie, a fifth grader, shared a similar memory when thinking about Tiffany. "On my first day of school, when I came into the office, she said, 'Make sure you say hi to me.' She's the first person I knew here, and she feels like family to me. Also, my mom really likes her because she is nice and has a nice personality. She really relates to our family. She has kids, and I have 5 siblings. We talk about our families a lot and we share. Family's a great way to describe the tone at SVLC, so much so that Katie gushed. She kind of reminds me of my mom. She doesn't lie, she's really kind, she's nice to everybody. She has the same personality for every student. If they're nice, she is nice, and if they aren't nice, she's still nice. Consistent. She keeps really good secrets too. She doesn't blabber what we tell her to talk about. We are lucky to have Tiffany as part of the family at SVLC and part of the larger family of Arlington Public Schools. She is simply amazing indeed.
High school. This is Jasmine Henson, and Jasmine is the definition of simply amazing student, embodying leadership, loyalty, and resilience in everything she does. As a natural leader, she confidently takes initiative in both academic and personal endeavors, inspiring those around her with her determination and drive. Her unwavering loyalty to her peers, mentors, and goals speaks volumes of her character as she consistently uplifts and supports those in her community. No challenge is too great for Jasmine. Her resilience allows her to navigate obstacles with grace, always emerging stronger and more focused on her path to success. A fiercely independent individual, Jasmine balances her responsibilities with remarkable maturity. She is not only gainfully employed, but also excelling in the Running Start program, demonstrating her commitment to both education and personal growth. Her ability to manage work, college courses, and personal aspirations, which with such dedication is a testament to her incredible work ethic and determination. Jasmine Pinson is not just a student, she is an inspiration, proving that with hard work, resilience, and passion, anything is possible.
I asked the two teachers who nominated Jasmine to join us to read tonight. So they use Stephanie Gordon, Cindy Botsford. Our Simply Amazing staff members not able to be here tonight, but it's Susan Black, our English/art teacher/equity leader extraordinaire, a jack of all trades. Weston High School is proud to recognize Susan Black as this year's Simply Amazing staff member. A national board certified educator with decades of experience, Mrs. Black is deeply dedicated to creating an equitable and inclusive learning environment where every student feels seen, heard, and valued. Her impact goes far beyond the classroom, as one student shared. Mrs. Black has impacted my life by allowing me to have somebody to talk to when I needed it most. Mrs. Black, you're an amazing teacher. Thank you for being there for me. Mrs. Black's unwavering commitment to her students and her passion for education make her an irreplaceable part of our school community. Congratulations, Mrs. Black.
Don't forget, there's a picture downstairs and Mr. Sable will be down there in just a moment. Thank you. And just thinking of all of this simply amazing, incredible, the talents and just the gifts that we have, multiply that over and over with many staff and many students that we have. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you would like. But you don't have to. So let's go on there. And he is, he
guys should just read these. These are-
That's not-
these-
Yeah.
Thumb through.
That's our own. Yeah. You're awesome.
Thumb through one.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing it.
Just kind of keep
Already.
keep them clustered.
And Debbie, Brenda, thank you for organizing this and making this happen.
One of those letters, no figure space there, Freddie.
All right. We're gonna have some audience members shuffling in as the audience members shuffle out. And then we will move on with the next thing on our agenda.
Yep.
I think that's.
Oh.
No, maybe not. I tried.
All right, so next, moving on, the next item on our agenda is our approval of the minutes. And we have 3 sets of minutes. We have our study session and regular meeting minutes for March 24th. Our special joint meeting with Lakewood School District minutes on March 26th, and our special meeting event attendance, Student Advisory Council, Youth Mental Health Forum minutes from April 2nd. We're gonna do them one at a time. Is there any changes anyone would like to make to the study session and regular meeting minutes from March 24th? Or do we have a motion to approve them as presented?
I make a motion to approve study session and regular meeting minutes for March 24th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the minutes from March 24th. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Thank you. The meeting minutes from March 24th are approved. Next, do we have a motion or any changes that I would like to propose for our special joint meeting with Lakewood on March 26th?
I make a motion, we approve special joint meeting with Lakewood School District on March 26th. I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Watts to approve the special joint meeting minutes from March 26th. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yay.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Watts,
Yay.
President Levesque,
Yay.
Director Knapp.
Yes. And that brings us to our special meeting for the Youth Mental Health Forum on April 2nd. Is there any changes anyone would like to make, or is there a motion to approve those as presented?
Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting of the Timmins Student Advisory Council Youth Mental Health Board minutes from April 2nd, 2025.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Director Watts and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the special meeting event attendance from April 2nd. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Watts,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Those minutes are also approved as presented. Thank you for getting us through all 3 sets of minutes. And next up is our public comment portion of our meeting. Is there anyone signed up to speak? There's not. All right. Just so you know, this would be the part where you are invited to speak up. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to give a public comment that has not yet signed up? Okay, moving right along, we have our consent agenda, and that has a whole lot of things on it, including many, many donations and some overnight trips. And a lot of other things, including our calendar revision. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from our consent agenda to give further consideration and discussion? Or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond.
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. All right, so the consent agenda is approved as presented. Next up is our new business portion of our meeting. And we're going to start with our donation from Arlington Education Foundation, the AEF, for the 2025 spring mini grants. And we would like to welcome Kim Deisher Allen. She's on her way up already. Okay, to present the applicants and their winning.
So, we are gonna keep going with Simply Amazing theme tonight because I felt really lucky that I, the honor of presenting, 19 awards for some Simply Amazing classroom mini grants. My name's Kim Deisher Allen. I am a teacher here, but I'm also tonight, I'm representing the Education Foundation as their president. And so I just want to tell you really quick, this is our 14th year of providing classroom mini grants, and we have had the opportunity over those years to award almost $200,000 in grants for classroom activities. This spring, we received 21 applications, and we are super excited to fund 19 of those outstanding grants. Tonight, we're going to be giving a total of $11,610.81 to the 19 of those teachers or teams within our district. So before I read the list of names, I just want to tell you quickly the couple of the parameters or the criterion we have in case you haven't had the opportunity to hear it before. The first is that the grant must have clear standards-based academic goals. The second is it needs to provide long-term sustainability benefits. The third is that it needs to promote inclusion and equity. The fourth is it needs to have an innovative idea or an element of technology. And ideally, it needs to have an opportunity for families to be involved as well. So we're super excited, and the passion and commitment for education in our community shows through all the grants. And before I read the lucky recipients, I should tell you, I have Nicole Bushell here with me. She is a board member. She's going to be handing out the certificates. So if you're here, and we do have a couple of board members right up on the school board. So Nicole Watts and Chris Sweeting are also on our board, as well as Mary is a retired member of the Arlington Education Foundation Board. So without further ado, I'll be reading these. And Nicole's gonna hand them out. And so I should tell you, one last detail is that grant can be valued at $500 for an individual classroom, or up to $1,200 if it's a group or team of teachers working together. So here we are. And hopefully some of our recipients are here tonight. I see there are. So first off, we have Natalie Polafield and her 6th through 8th grade team at Haller Middle School. They are receiving it for NGSS Vocabulary Mastery, promoting language acquisition and engagement. Thank you so much. Next we have Tammy Duskin, I see her here too, from Haller Middle School. She, her grant is for Scholastic Soap Magazine Order. Well, that was like it for you. Susanna Craig, who is from Pioneer Elementary School, and this is for Whiteboards. Whiteboards. I assume that's for your kindergarten class. Or we just heard about. Oh. Perfect. We're all about this. We're gonna get a team picture then. Kate Baugh, who was here but had to leave. She's from Camp Prairie Elementary, and hers was for learning through play in 1st grade. Casey Barton from Arlington High School, a 9-10 Lit Skills book study. Nicole Murphy from President's Elementary for a special education, social, emotional, sensory, and fine motor supports for the developmental preschool resource room and SLE classroom. The 5th grade team at President's Elementary for hands-on math and engineering. Kayla Crone from Camp Prairie Elementary School for flexible seating in the 3rd grade classroom. Nathan Beachy and Tammy Duskin for Haller Middle School for classroom engagement through Zoom. Crystal Williams of Pioneer Elementary School, SEL curriculum and supplies for small groups. Carly Solomon from Haller Middle School for sensory processing and reflex integration tools to support diverse learners. Occupational Therapy Department at Camp Prairie, Eagle Creek, Pioneer, President Baldwin. Anyone from? Oh, occupational therapy writing curriculum. Kelly Dagman from Post Middle School. Sensory seeking tools for SLE program. Jesse Rodriguez from President's Elementary School. Social, emotional, and sensory learning resources and tools. Karina Sanford from Pioneer Elementary School for read aloud books and decodable readers for primary that align with the science of reading. Carly Solomon from President's Elementary School, handwriting and scissors skill tools for diverse learners and left-handed students. I like that. I guess. And Jamie Cram from Haller Middle School, social emotional learning for life skills.
Carol Latch from Apple ECA, mathematical tools to strengthen student engagement and learning. And Rebecca today from Arlington High School Adaptive PE Equipment. Thank you to everyone for your amazing applications, and we love what you're doing for Arlington education, the students. And these will get to the students or the teachers, I guess they're not, to the teachers that are not here tonight. So congratulations. Thank you.
And, yeah, the board members, could you stand up, please?
Maybe they can write it.
Yeah, kind of stand in front of the camera so that, or on this side. Yeah, there you go. Otherwise, we'll see the camera. Yep, you can come out more.
I know, but I'm like, I'm too tall.
Yeah,
Sorry.
makes sense. Yeah, no hiding in the background. Yeah, don't go. You see your faces, perfect.
No, I'm here.
Are we in?
Back to the board. Perfect, okay. All right, let's look right here, looks perfect, no blinking, here we go, big smile. Hold it, looks great, one more. That's awesome.
Thank you all for coming out tonight and all that you do for students.
We'll see you in September. Is it?
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like.
Put on my calendar.
But you don't have to. That there is an action item involved in that agenda item.
Okay.
We have a spring mini grant total to approve of $11,610.81. Motion we approve the donation amount of $11,610.81.
A second.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the donation, accept the donation of $11,610.81 from the Arlington Education Foundation as presented. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Aye.
President Levesque? Yes. Director Knapp? Yes. Thank you. The donation is accepted.
What if we went through that whole ceremony?
And then we said, no, we don't want your money. Then they would be embarrassed. That would be awful. All right. Next up is our report of donation approved by our superintendent for April, Dr. Sweeting.
Yes, so during April, I approved one donation that's under 5,000, and it was from the Pioneer PTSA for $2,210.55. And there, it's identified to be used for decodable readers for kindergarten. So once again, a generous community that we have. So thank you to the Pioneer PTSA.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Next up is also a really exciting opportunity to learn about our budget. We'd like to welcome our Executive Director of Finance. There's a huge audience here just to hear about the budget.
So we've closed out the month of March and now we are ready to report out to the board on that. So this is the financial highlights of the current budget as of March, and the detailed report is also on the consent agenda along with an enrollment report. So in summary, and thank you for always listening to all of these facts about the financial health of the district, and also so that anybody in our community or anybody just tuning into our board meeting for the first time can have a little bit more context. So I know that you guys hear this all the time, but we'll start with the positive. Positives are the fact that we have our educational programs and operations levy. We have our capital levy as well, 2 separate levies, and those do amazing things for our district. We have compliance with the K-3 ratio and physical, social, emotional support, PSES staff ratios. And those are an important measure because if we are not in compliance with those, then the state will take money back from us out of our apportionment. And enrollment is on the increase. We have more students than we budgeted for. We have approximately 71 more students than we had estimated and planned for in our budget. Transportation safety net funding is something that we applied for mid-year and we qualified for, and we were able to get 84,000. And that helps support and offset some of the high cost, special needs types of obligations that we have in providing transportation. And it helps offset some of the cost of that. Doesn't fully do it, but it helps. And then fund balance and OSPI financial indicators score is projected to increase for the 24-25 fiscal year. Here's a quick snapshot of enrollment, and this is detailed in the consent agenda as well, but I like to pop this up before the board so that you have a chance to lay eyes on that in detailed fashion and ask questions here if you needed to. The financial health of the district, after talking about the positives, we will talk about the challenges. So many districts across the state are facing financial difficulty. And we've been talking about this repeatedly, and there are flaws in the state funding model, and they're becoming more and more evident as the years go on. Our two outside independent from ourselves agencies have tools out that show some of those indicators as well. So OSPI financial indicators tool lists 18 school districts that are on financial warning. And then the SAO, the state auditor's financial intelligence tool, also shows that there's more than 75% of the 295 Washington state school districts that have cautionary or concerning financial indicators. So that just sets the stage and the horizon across the state and Arlington amongst all of those districts too. The state funding gaps for our district are most prominent in special education, but also in other areas such as the transportation department, so that our bus services, and then material supplies and other costs. And we've talked about how insurance alone in our district, but also all across the nation, has gone up drastically. And for us, it has more than tripled across in the past 5 years. We made budget reductions for the 23-24 school year and for 24-25 school year that we're living within. And we're working to rebuild our fund balance. And that's a hard task, and it takes multiple years to do that, to grow that fund balance back up. And until we're back up into a higher level of fund balance, we are having to take interfund loans to meet cash flow obligations during the low months of the fiscal year. And it's especially during June and the summer months. And we've talked about some of the reasons how that comes about and why we have lower cash flow during certain months. But also to mention here the challenges is that future of our federal funding, the landscape is volatile and uncertain just because of things that we're hearing in the news and nationwide and actions that have been happening. But we do not have a projection on that, and we're operating going forward as we would, and we'll rely on OSPI for information as we get going along. Here is the picture of our fund balance trend, and we are on track with our projections, and we do estimate to have an ending fund balance that's over 2 million by the end of this fiscal year. And so we look at this every month, and you see that we're following the trend that we typically do each month. And this is multiple years laid up against each other so that we can see that the change over the past 4 years. And the high months is when in October and in April, when we receive the bulk of our tax collections, our levy monies, that is when the fund balance shows a high increase, and then it tapers back down as we go. I think that you'll notice in this year, the 24-25 fiscal years, that bottom line, it's navy blue, the bottom line on that chart. Get to March, that we are trending, we're starting to prove out that trend coming back up, getting closer to the line we were the year before, but also we expect that to go back up very high in April with taxes coming in. So we did pay back part of our loans in March, and and even with having paid back part of our loans, our fund balance is still kind of coming upwards in March. So it's higher than it was in February. And that's what we expect to see. It just needs the time to prove it out. Here is a recap of the interfund loans that we have had, according to Board Resolution 2413, where those were authorized from our capital fund. And so in November, December, January, and February lists the amounts there that we had to get an interfund loan for. And then cumulative of those came to about 1.5 million. And like I mentioned, March, we paid back $347,650 of that loan balance. And April will be sufficient. We did not have to get any loans in the month of April, and we're waiting for the final report on our taxes collection, that how much we're paying back. But I'm expecting that we'll be able to pay it all back and start fresh in May with not owing anything. But we will still need to come back to the board and request an interfund loan to cover the summer months, and especially June, because that's when we go back down on the taxes. And part of that is not just taxes, part of that is because the state apportionment, they give us a very low amount of our funding in June, and then they make up for it in July and August. And again, resources through the end of the fiscal year will be sufficient to pay all that we borrow back with interest.
Ethan had a good question about interest, and could you explain how that works? Like, when does that kick in?
We're tracking it all right now, and we have to use the rate that the county would have paid on the investments had those funds been with them in the capital fund. And we have and know what those rates are. So we apply that.
And
to them.
does that kick in the day, like, so if we go below a certain amount?
As soon as we borrow it. Mhm.
Okay, we borrow it, and then there's interest accrues daily?
Every day.
Every day, and
we're
then
tracking that.
what's our window of time that we generally pay back within that 30-day window, or is it a couple of months out?
We will pay it back when we pay the loans back.
Right.
So when we've made our payments, we apply it to principal.
Right.
And then at the end, we'll pay the interest and the principal. In April, we should be able to be fully clear.
Okay.
And then start fresh.
Thank you.
And the interest gets paid to the capital projects fund, so that they do get to receive the benefit of what they would have earned had the money been in their fund.
Okay.
Oops. Okay, and what's next? We are nearly complete with the state audit for the 23-24 fiscal year, which is a year in arrears. Feels like we're already almost done with 24-25, getting our audit results for 23-24. Legislative session adjournment. It did happen today. I'm still waiting for the next steps, which would be that the governor needs to do what he needs to do for that. There could be some things that get vetoed or, so we are still in a wait zone for that, but I'm glad to know they adjourned on time. So, we do know some of the outcomes, but we don't have them quantified yet to what does that impact for Arlington. So, that's the end of where we're at for the current budget today. And then the status of budget developments for next year will follow. Questions?
Quick question. Going back to the draft, the trend lines. I see that every year, no matter if it's 21, 22, or 23, the fund balance always ends lower than it started, which makes sense. How is it that we come back up and beat that estimated curve?
Yeah, the last 4 years, spending was in excess of expenditures. So when that happens, you're dipping into your savings account. So the cuts that we have made in 24, 25, and 23, 24 are bringing us into alignment so that our revenues and expenditures will be close, and we aren't going to continue to dip into our fund balance. Instead, it's going to grow it back up. So when we have more revenue coming in than we're spending, it will add to that bottom line, that fund balance. So we're reversing the trend. Like you're noticing the trend is that for the past 4 years, every year, the fund balance has been less than what we started with. But I'm saying it's going to increase this next year. So that's exactly a correct observation, that we are reversing that trend. And that will prove itself out when we get through the end of the fiscal year.
Was that an oversight? That we were
No,
spending
there
more?
was a planned spend down of fund balance, just coming off of the heels of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we had a fund balance that was in excess of what our minimum would require. And so it was a planned spend down that came about. But then we coupled that with some of the funding that was provided during the pandemic that went away. And also state funding that had supported and propped us up with some of the staffing levels that we had in those years. That also went away. And so we were realigning our staffing and realigning all of our operations. And there was also a year when the legislature did some surprise maneuvers with their IPD that they put into law in some of the years, which were higher than expected. So although we had a planned spend down, there was a bigger bite than initially expected when they did that planned spend down. And we've been taking the actions to reverse that, but it takes time to have those show out in the numbers. So.
Our enrollment went down too during COVID, and it didn't jump up as much as we wanted it to. That also affected it. Can you talk about the levy, how it's gonna be a little bit more money coming in too?
Sure. Yes, so the levy that was approved by voters in February of 2024, we have our first collection of that in April of 2025. And that levy is at a greater amount than what the old levy was at, the levy that it replaced, the 4-year levy before 2024. So that is about 4 million more than what the old levy was. And we will collect half of that greater amount in April. And then the other half will come in next year's October. Yeah.
That's a great question. I think. Observing. Other questions, comments? Thank you for explaining the scary slide that just keeps getting scarier.
It's getting better.
It's getting better.
It's getting better.
There's a tiny little up.
First time.
Yeah.
Big fine.
So
Thank you, Gina, for explaining the current budget. Moving right along, we have our 2025-26 budget development briefing, and we would like to welcome back to the podium our Gina Zutenhorst, our Executive Director of Finance. And look at that empty Lincoln room.
Zip, zip.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, the legislature has adjourned. April 28th was the day they were supposed to get out, and they have done so. So now we're gonna start having our board updates on the development of our budget for next year. And before we do that, launching into numbers and talking about the process, we always bring it back to the primary mission of the school district. Vision aligned budgeting is part of board policy. And we don't create the budget without thinking about what our priorities are. Starting with the mission, and that's listed here on this slide. And also zeroing in on strategic plan goal 3, resource stewardship, which is where the budget mainly ties into. And it says we will secure quality resources, people, time, money, and property, and align these resources to support equitable learning and achievement for students by making decisions using an equity lens and data. And then here are values that guide budget decisions, and this is also in board policy. And there are a number of things to cater to within these values, but it's important to note all of them because it creates a better picture of the budget when we're keeping all of these things in mind, and yet they're hard to accomplish all. One of them that we have been drawing out in particularly talks about fund balance and how we seek to have the minimum fund balance, and we recognize that in board policy, but that in times of emergency, which we utilize regarding the COVID pandemic, that in times of emergency, we allow ourselves flexibility. And that is what we also see now as to why we're in our lower fund balance. But we're building that back up. So I always draw us back to the values that guide the budget decisions, and these are had board input as well. The official budget document is called the Form F-195, and this is something that is required by OSPI, and it is in their required format, and all school districts report to the state their budgets in this format. It also includes a 4-year budget and enrollment forecast, and that is called a Form F-195F. And they are, something I wanted to mention about that is that the 4-year budget is a relatively new requirement. It's been in place for the past 4 years at least now, so it's not so new, but it has been a newer thing for school districts to do. It came with the changes in the McCleary laws, and then was required shortly thereafter. By July 10, we are by law required to post on our website a draft. And we'll also be bringing a draft to the board at the July 14 board meeting. But it'll be available to you in your packets July 10 or published on Board Talks for the board by July 10. We also are required to send that to the Northwest ESD electronically. They review it and look for abnormalities, inconsistencies, or things that might look like they're missing. They do some review on there, and then we have a process of questions back and forth before we move it forward to what would be a final draft. And then the plan is to come to the board August 11. We will have a public hearing as we're required by law to do, and propose for adoption the budget. And the budget must be adopted no later than August 31st. By law. So the planning that's underway right now, there's legislative outcomes. They were pending at the time that we prepared this presentation, but there were some things that we felt were pretty locked in. One of those was the implicit price deflator, the inflation rate that they're going to use in the funding that they provide for the salaries that they fund from the state to the district. They're going to use a rate of 2.5%. And then there's a special education enrollment cap that we believe is being removed. That's really not going to have impact for Arlington at this time because we are just under 16%. And that cap had been changing in the past few years. The enrollment cap as set by the legislature used to be 13%, and then I believe, and then they increased it to 13.5, and then they increased it to 15, I think it is, and now they're removing the cap. So actually, it was at 16, and then they're removing the cap completely. So that's good, but there were not a ton of districts that were impacted in the money side for that. And then special education funding tier increase. They changed the funding mechanism there. There used to be multiple tiers and they've collapsed them all into one funding tier and increased it. So we do not have the impact of that yet, but we're told that it is a nice increase. Now, how much does that actually translate for Arlington? We will need to figure that out and we don't have those tools yet. Then also the allocation formula for materials, supplies and other costs. They increased that by about $35 a student. And I just roughly calculated that by taking our enrollment times $35, about $193,000. There, you might hear things in the news that say that they increased it by $88 or $90 a student or something more along that level. But half of that, about $40 or so of that is maintenance level funding. That was funding that they were already obligated to provide through the laws they had already passed. So the 35, the increase that I'm talking about here is new additional policy funding to help school districts with their materials and supplies costs. So we don't have the tools that we need from OSPI yet, because they'll take the outcomes from the legislature and they program them into the software and provide to school districts so that they can run good estimates of how this will actually impact their funding. So we don't have that yet. I expect that out by the end of May. I am running some of my own estimates as well to try to rough out some numbers. So we do have some idea, but it's not a reliable number that I would want to make decisions from yet. And then expenditure estimates for staffing, we're in the analysis of enrollment and class size drives our staffing, and especially for grades kindergarten through third grade. So we make sure that we're going to have enough staffing to make sure we meet the ratios that are required of us. And then we're doing the calculations of the salaries and benefits for all the staff. That's underway. But we are having to do extensive analysis on that data. It's very detailed for accuracy and completeness. And we're waiting for some of the final factors to come out from the legislature. And one of those is what are the retirement rates going to be, because they set that. I am expecting the retirement rate, based on what I'm hearing, to be less than what it has been in previous years. But you can't take too much comfort in that, because it may be less for a little while, but then it'll be more later in other years. It does save some funding for us when it is a lesser rate, but it also means that the legislature is funding us at a lesser rate. So it's all related, but it is still a help. So that we will get that rate, we will get it programmed into our salaries and see what our numbers are telling us for our costs. We have an estimate now, but when we get these rates, it'll make it better. And then I'll be coming to you with enrollment estimates for 4-year budget and enrollment forecast. And then here's a summary of enrollment that we have roughed out to use in that 4-year forecast. The primary and most important column is the left side, board adopted enrollment for 25-26 school year. That is the primary thing that drives the revenue for next year's estimates. And that's the most important number. The other numbers are just projections that we use in that 4-year summary. And we do not get very rapid with what we utilize for our future year enrollment. We are not in a massive growth, and nor do our projections indicate a huge loss. There are the birth rates that are lesser, and our kindergarten enrollment has been lesser than what we would have thought. But we're watching that carefully and working on, redoing our future year enrollment estimates. But for now, this is what we've roughed out, kind of rolling up the grades with who we have now and projecting those out for future years. It's very staying conservative. Only 20 increase over 25, 26, or 26, 27, staying the same for 27, 28, and then another 20 students in 28, 29. And those get adjusted every year, depending on a reset from the year that we're in. So those are the numbers that we plan to use in our 4-year forecast. And this is a very high level look at the preliminary working forecast for 25-26, the right side column. And what we did was we adjusted our starting fund balance for 24-25, and we've used our most recent estimate of what our total revenues and expenditures are gonna be for the year we're in now. This is as of March. And we show that we're up from, we started with 1.2 million, and that we plan to end with more than 2 million. I think it'll be about 2.4, it could be more. But this is what we're starting with. And then we have for 25-26, we adjusted the revenues for the board adopted enrollment, used those figures. And we estimated the impacts of the potential legislative changes, but only the IPD 2.5%. And then for expenditures, we adjusted based on the rough calculation of all the positions and salaries from the 24-25 year, all the people that we have enrolled up and increased by 3%, because that is what was agreed to for collective bargaining agreements is 2.5 plus 0.5%. And preliminarily, what that shows is that we are just within our revenues. That is good. We are within revenues, but it is really close. That is a $74,000 window. Now, I know that when I rerun and get harder facts on the estimates, that number is gonna change. And I'm not promising, but it's gonna have a better picture to it because we will show more on the revenue side. So, but this is at least a first blush, first picture. Fund balance growth on this is minimal. And we wanna do better than that. So, but further analysis is coming and better numbers. This is a budget development timeline, and we talked about that already, with the main thing being the deadlines at the end of when things have to be the draft and when the final public hearing but final approval must be done by. But also we are we always keep on there when it is that we would need to do a formal program if we were doing a formal program of reduction, as we did in 23-24 and 24-25, come to the board, have a resolution, pass a resolution about a formal reduction in the educational program, which usually also means that we might have to do a reduction in force where people were receiving notifications that their job was no longer. And when certificated staff have to have a notification, it has to be done by May 15 per their contract. But we're not looking at that kind of situation for ourselves this year. This is a picture of the annual budget cycle that we go through every year. It's a constant process, as you know, when I'm reporting out to you about the budget. It goes through many iterations and we're dealing with it each season. It's just another way of looking at the timeline. So that is the end of that.
Questions from any board members? I don't hear any questions, Gina.
Okay.
I think you answered all of them for me. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Next up is our new high school course, American Sign Language 3. I would like to welcome Brian Long, our director of, I don't know, college and career readiness or something.
talk
I
about
can't
stuff.
remember.
Yeah, you got it. So it seems odd, probably, that CTE is ASL, a lot of acronyms there. So in the state of Washington, Career Technical Education oversees American Sign Language if it is taught by an interpreter, which happens to be required by law. So they all are now at this point. So we teach the class both as a foreign language or world language and as a way of teaching the kids how to become interpreters. It is not just learning the language. Yeah. And it so happens that the teacher is and has been an interpreter for many, many, many years. He is a CODA, it's Jordan Houston. He used to work as a paraeducator here actually. And then I took him from that. Really ticked off Dave because they're almost impossible to find. And Jordan is a CODA, a child of deaf adults. Both his parents were deaf. And so ASL was actually his first language and he learned English from the rest of the world. So he existed and grew up and lives in the deaf community. And ASL 3, if you were to go down and actually read the framework, which I have no illusion that any of you did that, because they are boring unless you happen to be a person that teaches this stuff. So if you look at what the subject, what the framework talks about and what you'll learn when you go into any deaf community is that storytelling is the height of the most important and the greatest thing in the world. Kind of like how music plays a function in the hearing world as a major definer of culture and existence, storytelling is that for the deaf community. And so this class starts with that entire concept of storytelling. And it is a visual and very performative language. If you have ever had the fortune of seeing a person interpret, you'll probably see how expressive they are and how, as a hearing person, we would interpret that as calm yourself, like, whoa. It's a little much, but Jordan spends probably half of every single class trying to convince the kids to be that expressive. Because they'll be like, and that is not how it works in the world of sign language. It's high. It's very I can't even do it. It's so awkward to watch him. But that is their culture. It is their world. And so he'll spend literally the entire first unit just trying to get them to tell a story. And it is the largest unit and it is the most complicated. Yeah, good.
So I see this as American Sign Language 3. So are there 2 others?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so ASL 1 and ASL 2 are basically straight out of the book.
Okay.
And reinforcing the career part of it is not his primary goal. It's really teaching that fundamental of ASL and teaching the fundamentals of culture. If you do not understand ASL culture, you cannot in any way, shape, or form successfully interpret.
Interesting.
To describe me, to be totally self-effacing, if you do not use FAT, you are being incompetent. Because that is who I am to them. And as a hearing culture, we would definitely take that as 100% insulting. Absolutely. But in the deaf culture, that is just reality. And if you can't distinguish that in the deaf culture and understand that fundamentally, you will not be able to successfully interpret. Because if a hearing person is describing somebody to you, as a hearing person myself interpreting for a deaf person, if you don't use that same expression, if you don't use those expressions, they're not going to understand. Because their brain literally is wired differently than ours. Anytime you learn a foreign language, you have to literally rewire your brain. This last class is the final step in that process. To truly bridge between just turning waving hand motions into an actual communication form. And Jordan doesn't even realize how good he is at it, which is kind of fascinating to watch as a teacher. And as an evaluator can be very challenging because I don't know sign. And so I get pretty lost sometimes in class. I'm like, everyone seems to know what's going on. But after it gets done with their storytelling in deaf culture and then their storytelling with music, and this is to help those kids bridge that gap. Because music is something really fundamental in their world. It's not so much in the deaf culture. It is, but it's not nearly as has as much gravity as it does in our world. And then he's going to step into the deaf cultural perspective. He does this throughout the whole entire thing. But if you can't understand, like a lot of people assume that deaf culture is a very quiet culture. It is not. If you've ever been in a room of deaf people, they don't know how much noise they're making. And so it is very loud. Like we're all in here being very quiet. And that computer dropped and I nearly just jumped out of my skin. That wouldn't even be a thing in there. It just wouldn't even have registered. things that we hear, each other breathing, each other coughing, it's just not a thing for them. And so they just do it, and it's just a part of function. And we don't think about it, and there's so much more that I'm fully not aware of. But helping the kids to see that and use it to their advantage and properly interpret. And then that leads to the last one, which is the most difficult for the kids to understand and for non-hearing to understand, and Jordan has helped me to understand this. When you're interpreting, it's not your voice. You are someone else's voice. So if that person is saying ABC and you do not believe in ABC, you do not like ABC, you don't want to say ABC, that is irrelevant. You then say ABC. It is not an option. You are that person's voice, and in taking that away, you are taking away that person's voice. And it is totally unethical and immoral to do that to that person, even if you don't agree. Literally, the rule is, unless he sees a gun or a weapon being actively assigned or put to another human, he does not say or change or move or do anything about what he sees. He told me once, he's literally called people and left them death threats. Because that's what the ASL person signed to him. He called the person and left the death threat. Because that's his job. End of story. And to do anything other than that is illogical and it's unacceptable.
Won't be doing that.
No, of course not. It's the idea that in the reality of the world, we prepare our students in CTE for the real world. I cannot emphasize this enough. We do not teach just these small children that we protect all the time. We turn around and hand them to the real world. If all I'm worried about constantly in my shop classes is that a kid is going to get hurt, and that's all, we shouldn't do it. We should not have our welding classes. Because they're dangerous. They're really dangerous. We do everything in our ability to mitigate that danger. Everything. But the reality is it is dangerous. It's also a really important job that put this building together. Put together every building you've ever been in. Your car. Everything. If we're not living in the world, the real world, and teaching these kids the real world, when they are literally seniors, you have to be a senior to take this class. Because you have to have taken 1 and 2. And you can't take 1 until you're a sophomore. You have to be a senior, and you are literally going into the world in less than 9 months. Yep.
So if they get done with this, do they receive some sort of certification?
No, because you can't. There is no ASL certification.
So you
There's
can't take a
only-
test for it, okay.
There's only a degree. To become ASL certified, you have to go to school and you have to be, you have to get a degree.
But would this be a precursor, like you would walk in and say, I've taken 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah,
So it
and
holds-
you would be leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else, like beyond ahead of anyone else. And we can't even get this as a CTE credit or even a cross credit, because 2 things run in the way. It can't be a CTE credit because at the university level, it's not considered a CTE class. It's only at the high school level. Therefore, I can't do it through CTE. And our interpreter, specifically Jordan, does not have a master's degree. Therefore, we can't do it as college and high school. Until he has a master's degree, we can't do that. So those are our 2 barriers that keep us from getting credit. But this would easily get credit, just like Spanish, just like German, just like whatever. So, yeah. But it's very straightforward when it comes to the world of a new class. We will only offer it every other year. We easily fill ASL 1. Which then easily fills ASL 2. We have 3 of ASL 1, 2 of ASL 2, and then every other year we'll drop one of the 1s to put in 3. So to try to keep that class as full as possible, because funding in my world is completely dependent on kids and seats. Yeah, so, question?
Do our student advisors have any questions? Because this is a student advisory.
Sure is. One of my favorite classes to evaluate. I think it is, because I actually learn stuff, which is super fun for me. Because usually I already know how to do it.
Do any other board members have any other questions? Okay, student advisors. How would you cast your vote on this class approval, Deja?
Yes.
Thank you. And student advisor Nichols, how would you cast your vote on this?
Well, after having used ASL 1 and 2 class, I'm very, very happy with that. My
He's
only-
good, isn't he?
He's extremely good. I remember my sophomore year taking ASL 1, immediately it's. I don't have words to describe it. It's learning a new language. It is, something a little bit strange and beautiful if you take a first glance at it, but, I came to love it. There is a ASL certification, which you can, get and take for it. It is difficult though. It's like a degree you have to
You
have.
have to basically, yeah, that's why we just say there's a degree.
Right, yeah. Last year,
It's probably 2-3 years of school. before they'll let
yes, 2 years, yeah, at least. Because I wanted to get certified and I noticed I could not. So after my couple years of studying it in and outside of AHS, I was hoping there would be a SL3. Well, I was a senior at Arlington, and I would take it this year if there were one. So I'm extremely excited. I'm also grateful that it's Mr. Houston who's teaching the class. I know it's very easy to sort of just say what you have to say because it's in a book. But because he's blessed to be a CODA and an individual who truly cares about building connections and bridging those gaps of understanding, I think he's perfect for the job, and I know he'll do a great job. So, absolutely yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. That sure helps us understand from somebody else's perspective too. Okay, this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve the new high school course?
I make a motion to approve the new high school course, American Sign Language 3. A second.
It's been moved by Director Watson, seconded by Director Kelly to approve the new high school course. American Sign Language 3, Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Watts?
Aye.
President Levesque?
Yes.
Director Net?
Yes. Thank you. The American Sign Language 3 is approved. And Brian Long. Next up is our first reading of Board Policy 1250, Student Advisor to the Board of Directors, and Dr. Sweeting is gonna explain the change.
So this is, the requested revisions are as a result of a yearly review of the 1000 series. We do this we alternate. And you notice there was an advisory vote by our students tonight. So we want this policy to reflect what we actually do in our board meetings now, because we changed that over the last period of time, that we added student advisory votes. It also clarifies, I thought this was important because in the application for our student advisors, it explains what we put in the red here, that they would attend, student advisors would attend all regular board meetings, generally 2 per month, special meetings, workshops, generally 4 to 6, on occasional special events, conferences and graduation. So that first line in red is just to clarify in our policy what the expectation is, and then about the student advisory vote.
I have a quick question. It says that we will have 2 high school student representatives. But then at the bottom, it says 1 new member will be elected each year for a 2-year term. And I know we're losing both Nathan and Deja. Will we be able to vote into, or can we change?
We might need to update that to be more flexible.
Student advisors are elected through that decision. Well, maybe we don't even, maybe we could remove that. We could just have that first sentence, 1 new member, and just say, why don't we
Or
just say?
one will have an election to
They'll
maintain 2.
Well,
Student
I mean,
advisors.
we're gonna do a junior and a senior for this next one, right? So that's not a 2-year term technically.
That's true.
We did-
Right.
Just say as needed.
1 new member.
Will be elected.
Just say
One
a
new
new,
member, great, I like that, that's lovely.
There you go.
a new member will be elected as.
Yeah, it's
As-
unusual that we
yeah.
have our junior
As opening.
student advisor.
It's very special.
Graduating early.
smart.
Cause she's smart, she's so smart and hardworking
So 1 new what was the wording? 1 new member.
in each grade,
grade.
or junior, for junior and senior.
But then the juniors. Normally, but.
Or I could just say one representative will represent, because we are get the
There
one
you go.
for, it'll just be for each grade, for
Right.
junior and
For-
senior.
okay.
Okay, I'll change the reading. For second reading, I'll bring it back and you'll see it.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other ideas?
Little minutia there, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was minutia.
Okay. Unless there's any other changes I would like to make, we can move on to our informational items. We'll start with our superintendent's report.
So first of all, happy birthday, Amanda Buck and Erica Knapp, who had birthdays recently. And I'm not gonna say much about this because I know two people on the board will probably say more, but I do know that flight went to Disneyland, and I'll let Nicole and Nathan share about that. But I wanted to share about the cultural night. And I really wanted to praise Adolfo Jimenez Perez. He was amazing as an MC. And the students worked so hard in pulling this together. And I think it's our second year. It's our second year. And they had pulled together, so there's Irish dancers, Folklorico dancers, that's a mouthful. And we had the Stillaguamish tribe, and we had the food truck, and it was just, I guess, the message that Adolfo shared with the people was right on. That we are an inclusive environment, that we embrace and celebrate the different cultures in our community, and it was a night that was wonderful. So I wanted to share about that. And that's it.
Thank you for sharing. I'd love to hear from our student advisors first. Let's start with Deja. What can you tell us about your experience in high school or? Did I miss anything? What I missed? Legislative update. Oh, totally skipped Sherry's legislative update. Thank you, Debbie.
It's a gripper. Legislature adjourned last night. So as Gina sort of got that cinched for us, we will wait to see how that impacts us as a district. So that's my big news.
Thank you, Deja. That gave you some time to think about.
I don't really have all that much right now. As we mentioned, a couple times, I'm graduating this year. I committed to the University of Washington. So that's like the biggest thing going on right now. Track season is almost over. We've got our last, home meet this week, Thursday. I'm pretty excited. I have a few friends that go to Snowish, that's who we're competing against this week. And I'm really excited to see them and compete. It's gonna be a pretty good matchup. Proms this weekend, which is exciting. I'm really excited. It's my first and last, so it's kind of a big deal. And I think that's about it. I don't really have a lot much else going on right now.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deja. We're excited for you to graduate early. It's quite an honor and an achievement. Really proud of you.
Thank you.
Student advisor Nichols, what would you like to share with?
Yeah, I'd like to, congratulations, Deja. That's a really special thing. You should be proud of yourself too. Also, yeah, track season's ending soon. Looking forward to have a couple more meets left. But it's good, it's bittersweet, knowing that this portion of my life is coming to an end. But it's always awesome to bigger and better things. So yeah, it's not near yet. I'd like to touch on the going to Fullerton. We compete yearly at the Fullerton Jazz Festival, which is held at Fullerton Community College. And there's some of the best jazz musicians across the West Coast. Anyone in the nation is welcome to come, but it's typically just in New Mexico, California, Oregon, and Washington that come. We competed and we placed fourth, which was 1 point behind third place and 2 points behind second place. So I say we're tied for second. But it was an extremely not humbling, because I don't think we were super full of ourselves going into it. We knew that we weren't going to place super high, but it was a blessing to go and to meet all the other competitors across the states. We got to have a private lesson with Jamie Shu, who's an award-winning jazz musician, and we got to dabble in some improv with her and see how that works. But in all, it was an incredible experience to learn more and to hear about different jazz cultures, what it means to sing jazz and sort of to interact with that sort of culture that we don't see a lot here in the West Coast. It's more the, yeah, so it was a blessing. Besides that, graduation's coming. I've been meeting with some individuals to kind of wrap up my my career here on the board, as well as some things I have to take care of with other. I met with Marilee Herman regarding our mental health program that we're going to be starting at the high school, and I'm disappointed that I won't be able to be there when it begins, but I'm glad that I got to be a part of it, and knowing that I'm leaving in good hands. I'm grateful that there's a lot of upcoming juniors and sophomores and seniors who really know what they're doing. But it's gonna be hard to say goodbye. But besides that, I don't think.
Thank you for sharing and thank you for all you do at the high school to help take care of your peers and everyone. And thank you for coming to board meetings and sharing what's going on. We appreciate both of our student advisors very much. Sherry, did you think of something new?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I
was
saw
gonna
that. Oh.
congratulate- Yes, I want to congratulate the JROTC and going to nationals. Huge, as well as the med team.
And Animal.
Adamage competing and placing like second and fourth, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And then also going to nationals soon here, as well as the FBLA. We competed and placed second at state and also going to nationals. So Eagles going to the next level, which is so awesome. So okay, that's all.
Lots to be proud of.
Yes.
Thank you. And since I skipped you, I'm sorry, Sherry. Do you want to share any thoughts for your board comments?
No, I'm good.
All right, Director Watts, anything you'd like to share?
Well, I'm gonna brag even more about Flight because not only did they get fourth with competing against performing arts schools that are private, they couldn't hear each other on stage or the band, and they knocked it out of the park. And I do not know how many tears were shed by us senior moms by how chilling that music incredible was. And we had so many people come up to us and ask if we were with Flight, and they said just amazing things about how well you guys did. And Nathan had an amazing solo where he scatted. One of the judges, when Grace Davis sang, like flew back because her voice was so incredible. So you had something to prove this year after last year, and you guys did it, knocked it out of the park. So, and then track, there's personal bests happening left and right. Seeing some really good races, and it's hard to say that's gonna be the last year for Lucas on the varsity team. So. Coming to the wire.
Thank you for sharing. Awesome to hear how awesome our kids are. Director Diamond, do you have anything you'd like to share?
My calculations are correct. We have 36 more days of school. 26
We're not
for
counting.
seniors, but who's counting? Other than that, no, I got my spring break a little later than everybody here. That was nice and sunny, so it was pretty amazing. Not to brag. But coming back, not rested. Like I came back a week, it was awesome, and then the week back from school, it's been insane already, so hence the countdown. So yeah, other than that, no, I'm excited for graduation season. It's gonna be very busy the next couple months and then summer. So I'm just kind of eye on the prize and excited to watch all you guys like graduate. That's gonna be so cool. Even though I may not probably hand out diplomas again this year because Herman will take it all, and that's fine. That's fine. It's her school. That's cool.
Figure something out.
I'll just hand them to her and then she can hand them out. So that was fine. No, not at all. No, I don't care. But no, I'm excited for graduation. It was fun last year. So that's all I got.
Thank you for sharing. Director Knapp, anything you'd like to share?
I think it's awesome coming back from spring break and seeing the amazing representation of students and staff here tonight. congratulations to everybody, you know, it's amazing, it's awesome, and the mini grants, I love to see all of that. I went to cultural night too, and that was amazing, I think, just so dynamic. I hope that we can do it again next year. Super proud of the Student Advisory Council for getting their mental health goals. You know, they're like physically represented in our schools now with posters and programs, and I think that's incredible work. So thank you. And yeah, looking forward to graduations, and I can say that because I don't have a kid graduating this year, but give me a couple of years. We'll see. So yeah, looking forward to school visits this week. I think I have one, but Weston was last week. We did go to Weston. We got to see the Miata.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right. It's post.
Oh,
this
so
week.
that was student voices.
Student
Yeah, it was
voices, sorry.
post this week.
Post is the school, yeah.
For sharing. I think I'm going to Eagle Creek this week. I think we're split up a little bit, a little scattered, but we get the job done, right? I wanted to share that I got to go with a group of solo and ensemble performers for the band. There was a percussion ensemble that competed at the state event on Friday in Ellensburg, and our percussion ensemble did such a great job. They got a superior rating and they competed against some really incredible schools, and it was just really astounding what some groups are capable of with their ginormous instruments and their huge group and double mallets, and there was like 16 kids on stage. It was just quite incredible, quite inspirational, and lots of ideas, I think, for our percussionists to be able to see other great percussionists and to really build that team spirit. And we got to see a small group. We had a euphonium and mallet duet that went, and they were so fun to watch, and it was just beautiful. It gave me goosebumps, and I'm just really incredibly proud of our students for all their incredible passion and hard work and their contributions to make this school community such a great place to be. And my kid loved his percussion ensemble field trip, and he even got his grades up by working super hard and going to school early and staying up late, and got his homework caught up so that he wasn't flunking any classes and he could go to the special event. And I'm just really proud of him for that, and so grateful for that opportunity to motivate him, because I lack that motivation for him. So I wanted to remind everybody about our next meeting coming up on Monday, May 12th at 6 p.m. for a regular meeting right here in the board room. And if there is nothing else, did I forget anything else? Maybe just two things today. Then we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Watts to adjourn the meeting. Director Diamond.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Watts.
Yes.
President Kovac. Yes. Director Nat.
Yes.